I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you. And all the roads that lead us there are winding, and all the lights that light the way are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. And baby, are you gonna be the one that saves me? And after all, you're my Wonderwall.
Hello listeners, this is David from In the Lap of the Pods Queen podcast, and you are listening to another episode of Trimming the Musical Fat. Slanjava.
What's that smell?
Oh, that would be me. I've been swimming in raw sewage. I love it. I love it!
That's the signal, let's go.
Do it. Great.
Hello, it's good to be back for another episode of Trimming the Musical Fat, the podcast where we trim albums that are too damn long. I'm Stephen Nicholson.
I'm Paul Nicholson.
And thank you for joining us as we take our invisible scissors to Mank legends Oasis and their multi-million selling second album, 1995's What's the Story? Morning Glory. What's going to make the under 50-minute single vinyl TTMF supercut of the record. Roll with it, Wonderwall, Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger. Keep listening to find out. We'll also find time to do regular features like Joke of the Pod, archive interview clips, revisit the year of release, share our favourite Oasis songs, reminisce about seeing the band live in 1996, and get our guest to answer as many questions as he can about the band in only 3 minutes.
She's in a family full of eccentrics, and after all, you're my Wonderwall. So Sally can wait, she knows it's too late as we're walking on by. Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a champagne supernova in the sky.
It's the tale of the tape. What's the Story? Morning Glory is the second studio album by English rock band Oasis. It was released on the 2nd of October 1995 by Creation Records, and it was produced by Owen Morris and the group's guitarist and main songwriter Noel Gallagher. The structure and arrangement style of the album were a significant departure from the group's previous album, 1994's Definitely Maybe. So Gallagher's compositions were more focused in balladry and placed more emphasis on huge choruses, with the string arrangements and more varied instrumentation contrasting with the rawness of the group's debut album. So Morning Glory was the group's first album with drummer Alan White after he replaced Tony McCarroll. So there's 12 tracks on the album, and they are Hello, Roll With It, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger, Hey Now, Untitled 1, some might say Cast No Shadow, She's Electric, Morning Glory, Untitled 2, and Champagne Supernova. So the album is 50 minutes in duration. However, for the purposes of what we're doing today, we are making available for selection the B-sides from the 4 Morning Glory UK singles, plus the vinyl-only track Bonehead's Bank Holiday. So the 4 singles that were released here in the UK were Some Might Say, which came out on the 24th of April 1995, Roll With It, which came out on the 14th of August 95, Wonderwall, The Biggest Hit, which came out on the 30th of October that same year, and finally Don't Look Back in Anger, which came out on the 19th of February 1996. So Champagne Supernova and the title track were released as singles in other countries, but not in the UK. So the tracks we're making available for selection are the 12 album tracks, plus the 11 B-sides and the vinyl-only tracks. So they are Talk Tonight, Aquient, Head Shrinker, It's Better People, Rockin' Chair, Round Our Way, Swamp Song, The Master Plan, Underneath the Sky, Step Out, Come and Feel the Noise, and Bonehead's Bank Holiday.
Do you think your album's going to be a big success tomorrow?
I think it's going to be, yeah, totally.
Why can you remember some of the words tonight?
Too pissed up, and I'm not even rehearsed any of them, and I think it's a top album. And all like, yeah, top can. Not like fucking Enemies slagged it off and all that, fair enough. It's not about that. Kids, mate, kids decide, don't they?
Yeah. What about Justin of Elastica? Do you really fancy her then?
Yeah.
Are you going to go for her?
Nah, she's going to go for me.
So how much do you fancy her now? You're going to get her?
What makes the world go round, you know what I mean? If I get her, I get her. If I don't, disappointed in the matter, you know what I mean? If I get her, I'll get her.
What do you think of Blur these days?
What? Not a lot.
Hey, this is Marv from Pods Like Us, the show where we help you to find your next podcast addiction. And you're listening to Trimming the Musical Fat, a show where Paul and Stephen tell you all you need to know about and more about the music that you love.
Although the album was a commercial success, the record initially received lukewarm reviews from mainstream critics. Many reviewers deemed it inferior to Definitely Maybe, with the songwriting and production particularly points of criticism. However, allegedly because of perceived greater marketability potential over their Britpop rival Blur's simultaneous release, The Great Escape, the critical tone set for the album quickly changed in the eyes of the media. Critical opinion towards the album completely reversed in the ensuing months and years, with critics finally recognising its strengths and its populist appeal. Despite the acclaim surrounding it being lesser today due to its intense media hype at the time, Morning Glory is still considered a seminal record of both the Britpop era and the 1990s in general. The album has also appeared on several lists of the greatest albums in rock music, and at the 2010 Brit Awards it was named the greatest British album since 1980. As of October 2018, it's the UK's 5th biggest selling album and the 3rd best selling studio album of all time, selling 4.94 million copies in the UK alone. It was also the UK's best selling album of the 1990s, and is currently the 2nd longest charting studio album in the UK, having spent over 500 weeks on the UK album chart. The album went to number 1 in the UK and number 4 in the US Billboard chart. It went 16 times platinum in the UK and 4 times platinum in the US. To date, it's sold just under 17 million copies, which is 11 million more than its predecessor, Definitely Maybe. The most streamed song on the album was Wonderwall, with 425,000 streams.
It's time to introduce our guest, making his podcast debut, a man who some might say is an Oasis superfan. It's Mr. Paul Young. And, well, no, not the one that you're maybe thinking of. He's not going to come on and sing Wherever I Lay My Hat, That's My Home. Although he could, if he wanted to. You fancy doing it, Paul? No.
I'll save you. No, definitely not.
Definitely, maybe.
Definitely, maybe not.
How you doing, Paul?
I'm good. Yeah, but very good. Thank you for the invite, guys. How are yous?
No, absolutely delighted.
It's
Yeah,
been a
we're
long
good.
time.
It has been a long time.
Yeah.
It has. It's only been a couple of years, yeah.
It might be a wee bit more than that.
It might
just
it
a
might
wee
just
bit.
be.
Yeah.
But well, we've got one question for you at this point, Paul. Are you mad for it?
Mad for it. Okay.
I should mention as well, for regular listeners of the podcast, you will know Mr. Bryan Borthwick. So Bryan was hoping to join us tonight, but unfortunately he was unable to. But Bryan has sent along his thoughts. He's pre-recorded them, so we'll be able to integrate them into the episode as well. So thanks for Bryan for doing that. But Paul, yeah, so we're talking Oasis today. What would you say your level of fandom is?
Super fan.
You're super fan, own everything they've got.
Pretty much, yeah. I kind of I think at the point definitely maybe came out and heard "Live Forever." I think that was the point where I thought these guys are brilliant, and I've seen them live multiple times. Bought everything they've got. They I think they were very lucky, the age that we were when Oasis came along, to have such great music to play to, and I would definitely say that I was a super fan.
And do you remember what was the first thing you bought by Oasis? Was it a record, CD, cassette? Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, so it would be the CD singles at the time,
right.
And I was trying to remember exactly the sequence, but I think the first one I got was "Live Forever."
Okay.
And then having that, I kind of backtracked to get the first couple, and from that point on, it was pretty much getting them the day they came out at HMV in Princes Street, and then playing them to death.
Yeah.
And I was obviously Halls of Residence, and definitely maybe came out. Moved to a flat in '95 when Morning Glory came out. The guys that I shared the flat with weren't Oasis fans, but we didn't have any choice. It was getting played.
You will listen to what I play.
And when Be Here Now come out, did you move to another place? Is it like a rite of passage each album release you moved to a new village?
Funnily enough, I did.
Oh, right, there you go.
I didn't actually think about it in those terms, but yeah, I was at a different flat when Be Here Now came out. So yeah, there might be something in that actually.
Yeah. I was going to say, you said "Live Forever" was the first one you bought, and I remember there was a great version of an acoustic version of "Up in the Sky," which Noel sang, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And one of the things that will become abundantly clear as we go through this episode, that how popular and how good and how highly we regard Oasis's B-sides, certainly from the first 3 or 4 years, certainly when they came out there, the quality of what they were putting out was just outrageous. To not have them as even as singles, but not even having them on the album. So the quality of the stuff they put out was really, really something.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. Some of the songs that they had on B-sides. Once you got the single, you know that you were buying more than just the single.
I know. I think a lot of the time, because obviously they were on TV quite a lot, and you'd get them appearing on a show, and you'd think, I don't know what that song is. It's not on the album. And I think, what was the song from Supersonic, the acoustic one? Take Me Away.
Take Me Away.
Tune.
Yeah.
Tune. Because you would even buy things like the live video and be like, oh, what's that? A sad song? So, oh, what's that? And you found out it was on the vinyl version. It definitely, maybe. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Hey, now it's time for our guest to go supernova as we trim the talk, the feature where our guest has to answer all our questions in 3 minutes or less. So are you up for the challenge, Paul?
Yeah.
Good. So here we go. 3 minutes starts now. So describe Oasis in 3 words.
Loud, electric, and amazing.
Okay, well, you've answered this already. You have seen Oasis live, but you just can't remember how many times.
I think it's 9, which is
9?
really annoying.
Wow.
That it's not double figures.
Okay.
And I think I might have missed the show because I always brag about, oh yeah, I've seen him about 100 times. But when I actually counted it, I was a bit disappointed that I didn't get at least to 10. But I know for a fact it's 9, but it might be more.
We're going to quiz you on that very, very shortly. And what is your favourite Oasis album?
Morning Glory.
Morning Glory, okay. Favourite Oasis song?
Cast No Shadow.
Cast No Shadow, okay. Your favourite member of Oasis?
That's kind of changed more recently. I've gone from Noel to Liam.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say the LG I prefer over Noel.
Okay. And what were you doing at the time of the album's release in October 1995?
So I would have been 19 years old, and I was second year at Queen Margaret College, living in a flat in East Claremont Street in Edinburgh, and bought the album on the day of its release, and then played it to death every day.
Awesome.
Loud as I possibly could get away with. I couldn't get enough of it. It's just such a brilliant album.
Okay, awesome. And your favourite track from the album? Well, we know it's going to be Cast No Shadow since it's your favourite track.
Yeah, Cast No Shadow, but to be fair, I mean, it'd be hard to pick a song that you don't like on that album. It was just brilliant.
And have you got a least favourite from the album?
Again, really tough. It's a difficult one, and it's going to be controversial, but Roll With It.
Okay.
Was okay. It was kind of between Roll With It and maybe Hey Now.
Yeah.
But I'm going to stick with Roll With It.
Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to guess the answer to this already. Your album rating out of 5.
5.
No shocks there then. Wonderful. And you managed to do that within the 3 minutes, which is great. So I'll maybe come to you, Brother Paul. Do you remember when you first heard the album and what you thought of it?
It was probably, you had the album on CD, so it probably would have been then. And that's when I started to appreciate Oasis, you know, that rivalry between Blur and them in 95 in the summer. Yeah. And it was quite an exciting time, actually, as well. I know we've talked about it in other podcasts, because we actually did their Arch Rivals album that year, The Great Escape. Blur, we actually did that in a previous podcast.
We did.
Yeah. But, so probably I would have heard it when you'd bought it in summer of 95.
Yeah. You got a favourite track from it?
Don't Look Back in Anger.
Yeah, that's mine as well. Least favourite?
The instrumental one that lasts like 10 seconds.
Oh, you can't have that. I'm not giving you that. You have to prick a popper. So.
All right, okay.
That's a pop out.
Okay, I'm going to be really controversial here. Champagne Supernova.
Okay, that's fine. And how what would you rate the album out of 5?
4.5.
4.5. Okay. For me, I first heard this. Well, probably in my bedroom. I remember actually vividly going down to whatever the kind of music shop was at Cameron Total, local shopping centre, and I think they were actually sold out of it. So I had to go into, I think it was Sainsbury's, to buy it, of all places, and then just took it home and played it. Yeah, But more controversially, I actually heard most of this album sitting on a beach in Kos, maybe 2 months prior to it coming out. There's some beach bar was playing some of the songs on their speaker system. How the hell they got those songs, I do not know. I just remember sitting on the beach thinking, that sounds like Oasis. It's like Wonderwall and Don't Look Back in Anger. And I went, surely not. And yeah, it was. So there you go. I would give this album, 4.5. Yeah, I'd agree with you, Paul, there.
My rating for the album would be 4.5 out of 5. It's a great album. Could have been a 5 if maybe Aqueous and Master Plan were on it. But as it is, we'll go with 4.5.
But I wanted to speak to Paul a little bit more about seeing Oasis live. So you've seen them 9 times. The first time was Irvine Beach, I think you said, Paul. What was what you remember? What some of the other places and years you went to see them?
Yeah, so I caught them at Tina Park a couple of times. Saw them at Murrayfield a couple of times.
Yeah.
Seen them at Hampden. Seen them at the Corn Exchange. I saw them up in Aberdeen.
Did you?
I think one of them that really sticks in my memory is I saw them down at Main Road.
Okay.
The old Main Road, as it not the amazing Man City Stadium, and that was amazing as well. Absolutely. Got the train down, a group of us, and it's they never failed to disappoint live. Oasis, they were just brilliant. Like I say, the first time at Irvine Beach, honestly, just the volume, the noise was just unreal, and you get that sense when a band they kind of sound, what you think they should be like. Sometimes you go and see a band and you're a bit disappointed because the lead singer can't sing or whatever.
Yep.
That way, Oasis, they were even better live than what they were, and that first gig at Irvine Beach, my ears were ringing for days after it. I couldn't hear anything, and I couldn't wait to get to the next gig. And it was just to that point where it was now beginning to get really difficult to get tickets. So Oasis are. I know there's a lot of chat about them. If they'll ever get back together, and personally, I don't think they will.
Mm-hmm.
But if they did, then I would love to go and see them one more time.
Get double figures.
Exactly. If this is right, and I've seen them 9 times, then I have to go and see them.
Oh, when you saw them at Main Road, is that the one that was filmed?
Yes.
Oh, right. So you're the one that was filmed.
Yeah. So Liam had these kind of, those old-fashioned Umbro training tops.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Over your head. So we had one of them on, and he's kind of strutting about. And Ocean Colour Scene were supporting. It was brilliant. Again, really, really loud. Although it was a stadium, so it wasn't quite the same decibels as Beach. But yeah, it was just awesome. Such a great band live.
Yeah. I only got to see them twice. The Murrayfield gig in 2000 and Loch Lomond in 96. And the Loch Lomond gig was, I think, just that whole time period just felt like something, being part of something a bit special at that point. And the band were really, really on form. And I think obviously they had the 2 Loch Lomond gigs, then Nebworth, I think the following weekend, the couple of gigs there. So yeah, really, really good shows. And the album itself, we're obviously all fans of it. What do we like about it? Because obviously it's quite a different album to Definitely Maybe. So it's the album that you guys prefer. What do you prefer about it compared, say, Definitely Maybe, and some of the subsequent albums? I'll maybe go with you, Brother Paul.
It's maybe more polished, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like the original album, Definitely Maybe is a bit rawer, maybe.
Okay.
And maybe they're trying to find their style, whereas in What's the Story, More and More, it's kind of like they're just more comfortable in what they're doing almost.
Okay. How about you, Paul?
Yeah, I agree with Paul there. I think it is a bit more produced, if you like.
Yes.
And I think the thing that I like about it a bit more, it's a bit more mellow in places. There's a bit more acoustic guitar. There's a bit more no backing vocals. So you've still got some, pretty hard Oasis style kind of tunes in there, but there's a bit of melody in there as well. So definitely maybe was great, but I think this just edges it for me.
Yeah, I think I remember at the time when Noel was interviewed, he described definitely maybe something like, definitely maybe is like going out on the town with your mates and having a good time, and Morning Glory is like staying in for the night and having a good shag.
Romantic as ever.
And it is, as you guys say, it's maybe more varied, slower, more chorus driven, and maybe an easier listen for a general audience. Obviously not as raucous, so you can understand its commercial appeal. But there we go.
Where is it, Liam?
He's gone for his MOT.
Did he fail it? Will he fail it, do you think?
Yes, he will. I think his voice is gone. He's stayed up too many nights partying, and he's
Faulty throat.
Faulty throat.
I've not given it to him, have I?
No, I'm going to give it him in a bit when I see him, I'll tell you that.
Now, what I want to know is when you first got started. When did you first get interested in music?
Well, when I was about 6 or 7, when seen all reruns of Beatles programmes, I think. Watching them shaking their heads, singing "Yeah, Yeah, Yeah" was the first memory I've got of music. And then took guitar lessons at school, but they kicked me out because I was left-handed, but I play guitar right-handed, and they was insisting that I play it left-handed, but I couldn't get my head around it. So,
That's not right, is it?
No, not really. I'd like to say if my music teacher's watching, do you want to borrow a tenner?
Yeah. What Beatle would you like to have been when you were a child?
I'd like to be Ringo, because he didn't have to do anything.
Well, nothing. That's beautiful drumming.
But he made millions, man. He didn't do out.
He did his lovely drumming.
Oh yeah, but he done a drawing, but he didn't have to write anything, though, did he? Except fan mail.
There's a lot of that.
I know, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, right if we got 2 bob for every family.
So, which songs are going to be stepping out loud and proud tonight? Which are going to be sent around our way for a doing as we start to trim the album to create the TTMS supercut of Morning Glory? So, for selection, we're including all 12 songs that featured on the original release of the album, plus the 11 B-sides from the UK release singles, and Bonehead's Bank Holiday, which was the Morning Glory vinyl-only release bonus song. And before we talk about the songs, let's talk about the album cover and the artwork for it. What do we think? So, Paul Young, let me come to you first. What do you think of the whole album art package?
I'm not sure. I don't know. It's a strange one. It's when you go into a shop. Well, when we used to go in and buy CDs, not do that anymore.
Yeah.
But there would be CD covers that would immediately jump out. I don't think this is one.
No.
I liked the Definitely Maybe one. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
This one, I don't really have an awful lot to say about it. I think it's all right, but I don't think it stands out in any way. I think they've done better album covers. That's maybe one criticism that I'll have of the album. But I'll be interested to hear what you guys think. Maybe I'm missing something.
No, I'm actually totally in agreement, because I was thinking about this the other day and looking, and I do have the kind of reissued double vinyl version of Morning Glory. And I'm sure it's coloured vinyl. I can't even remember what colour it is, but silver. So it's nice being able to view the artwork probably the way it was meant to be viewed, and actually a decent size. But no, it's not an especially attractive looking album cover. I think Definitely Maybe is very cool. I think Be Here Now has got a really good cover. I think they're both better than this one. So no, I agree with you. I don't think it's all that special. Paul, brother Paul.
I actually really like it. I just, do you know what it is? I think like it's just so iconic. It reminds me a little bit like Ziggy Stardust, David Bowie. You know, it's just like a street in London, and it's maybe not doesn't look great, but it's just so iconic now that when you think about the album, it's almost like your football team. If your football team's had a good season, they'll be wearing a strip that you like, and you look back at it, you go, "Oh, I really like that strip." It's because it was a good season, and it's like the albums because it's a really good album. I then think of the cover as quite iconic, but it's not as good as definitely maybe the cover, but I just think it fits that period almost. I don't know. I can't imagine it not being there. You know, so I see it almost as one.
I actually prefer, and I don't know if you guys remember it, it's on the label on the record, but it was also on the CD. You remember if it was Noel's Hand? Remember that? I actually preferred that. I would have liked, and I think that would have had a lot of good symbolism as well. The guy that writes the songs.
Was it Liam's two fingers? Liam's two fingers in it. Like
you could have Noel's hand on one side, the 5 fingers, Liam with his 2 fingers on the other. That would have worked. That would have been great, actually. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let's talk about the songs that we have all mutually agreed. So myself, 2 Pauls and Brian, these are the songs that we have come to agreement on that will make the under 50-minute supercut of Morning Glory. So if memory serves, I think it was 10 songs that have made it, and our track listing comes in at just about 46 minutes. So we're going to go through each of the songs just now and just talk about what we like about them. And the first one up is actually not from the album. It was a B-side, and it's Acquaintance, and here it is.
Say the things I wish I'd said, to sing my soul to sleep and take me back to bed. Who wants to be alone when we can feel alive instead? Because we need each other, we believe in one another, and I know
Okay, guys, that was Acquaintance. So, Brother Paul, I'll start with you. What do you like about this tune?
It's just a brilliant upbeat song. Was that what they used to open their concerts with?
Yes, some of the tours, yep.
Because when I think of Main Road, I'm sure that makes me think of the Main Road gig that Paul was at when I saw it on the video.
I think it was Swamp Song at that point, and then it used to break into that.
But it's just a brilliant song. It's like I say, it's probably better than half of the songs that were on the album. But then at this point, of course, Oasis, a lot of the B-sides, you know, could have been album tracks or singles even. In fact, a lot of them were better than the so I don't know how they chose what was a B-side, what was a how did they determine what was better? Yeah.
Well, this one had an interesting story because it was a B-side to the first UK #1 single, which was Some Might Say, and it was later included on the 1998 B-sides compilation, the Master Plan. But yeah, I love this. But what happened is Creation's Alan McGee, and for those that don't know, Creation was Oasis's record label, and Alan McGee ran the label. He was the owner of it. And what he did, he actually tried to convince Noel Gallagher to release this as a single instead of Some Might Say. And I think he was also pushing to get it on the album. I think at that point, Noel was obviously just in that zone where everything he was writing was great, and he thought everything that he continued to write would be great. So it was like, it's fine. We'll just put it out there. So yeah, if it had been up to Alan McGee, this would have been a single. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's a great tune. Although I do think the live version is better. I think the live version's a bit more they play it faster live. It's maybe a bit more
Heavier,
raucous. Yeah, a bit heavier. I love the fact that Liam and Noel take turns on the vocals. I love that descending guitar that takes you from the Noel sung chorus back to Liam and the verses. And yeah, for me, yeah, more than strong enough to be a single. I totally agree with Alan McGee. I actually do think this is a better song than some might say. What say you, Mr. Paul Young?
Yeah, I absolutely love this song. This is right up there. I think it's one of these songs that Oasis do when both Liam and Noel are singing in it, and it's always a great combination. Whether it's a song like Cast No Shadow, which is a wee bit slower, or whether it's quite rocky like this one, they always stick out because they're just great songs. And I agree with you guys, how this is just the B-side is like embarrassing. There's just so many great songs at that point to pick from. So it's not a single, it doesn't even get on the album. That's just, it's nuts. That would just be the best song anybody else would ever do. So it just shows you at that point how much good stuff that they had. Yeah, I remember hearing that from the single, and I think that single was that one that had Head Shrinker on it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talk
So
Tonight.
yeah. I mean, Talk Tonight as well. And there's 4 songs. Do you know what I mean? That any other band would just be happy to have. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of this song for sure. And just that kind of combination of both of them singing, brilliant.
First song on the album, Aqueous. A great song to start with, actually. Never had that on my list, but it's brilliant song. It's maybe my second favourite Oasis song. Amazing that it's just a B-side, but brilliant song. I love how Noel does Liam does the verses and Noel does the chorus. I think it mixes in well. So yeah, great start song.
Yeah, so 4 thumbs up from us for Aqueous. I'm going to slow it down.
Sorry, just to say, do you think in hindsight it might have been better because there's so much good material that they kept that material for Be Here Now?
Can I get you to hold that thought? Because the final questions, the show, are actually going to throw that in there about the B-sides and stuff. So hold that thought. I like your train of thought. So yeah, we're going to do that. So yeah, we're going to now slow things down a little bit with Cast No Shadow, which was a track on the album, and only Brother Paul did not select it. So we'll get his thoughts in a second, but here's a little snippet of it.
Bound with all the weight of all the words he tried to say, chained to all the places that he never wished to stay. Bound with all the weight of all the words he tried to say, as he faced the sun he cast no shadow.
So that was Cast No Shadow, and I'm going to come to you first, Brother Paul. You didn't pick this one. You're not a fan of the tune?
It's not a bad song. I just think it's all right. It's just, like I say, there's plenty of B-sides that are better than in my opinion. I know this is your favourite, Paul, but for me, it's okay. Average.
Okay. Average, right. Mr. Paul Young, convince him otherwise.
Yeah, I love this song. It's just, I think I say that combination of Liam singing and Noel pitching in with the backing vocals, and it's got the strings in it in the background as well, the acoustic guitar. It's just such a nice mellow song. So yeah, it ticks all the boxes for me, and I think it's one of those songs again that's really good live. You know, it sort of transfers from sort of acoustic to something a little bit heavier quite nicely as well. Yeah, so it's always been a favourite song of mine, I have to say. I think sometimes with Oasis songs, and I'll probably pull the likes of Wonderwall and Don't Look Back in Anger into this as well, because I played them so much at the time when they first came out, like literally back to back to back, that there does sometimes come a point where you're like, you sort of migrate to the other songs on the album and play them.
You're over familiar with them.
Absolutely. And that's kind of what happened with a few songs for Oasis. But Cast No Shadow's always been one of them that I could easily listen to. And when I knew I was coming on this podcast, I had the excuse to go back and listen to Oasis, and with the headphones supposed to be doing work. and it was just great to hear all these songs again. So yeah, it's always been a favourite.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I'm in agreement with you on that. Although I don't know, have you guys heard the version that the band did for the Goal movie soundtrack? It was the Uncle Beachhead mix of it, and Noel sings the lead, and the strings and the epicness, if you like, are really ramped up on it. I don't know if you've heard that version. It's brilliant.
I don't believe I have, no.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Try and track that down. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll maybe tag it on to the end of this episode. It's really, really good. Yeah, and I think quite hard to find as well. But yeah, that's worth checking out. But yeah, the original, one of the things that maybe goes under the radar a bit on the Morning Glory version, I think Alan White's drumming on it is really, really great. So I just wanted to highlight that. And I think the song itself, it was written not about, but I think for Richard Ashcroft, wasn't it? The Verve singer. Yeah, for sure.
Cast No Shadow. This is another brilliant song. A bit slower paced. Not quite a ballad, but it's a slower one. Just another great chorus to it. Just brilliant song.
Okay, so 3 of us went for Cast No Shadow.
This is Eric Paul Johnson from Face the Music, an Electric Light Orchestra song-by-song podcast. And you're listening to Trimming the Musical Fat. Oh dear. That wasn't my fat I trimmed.
So in terms of Oasis's 7 studio albums, in the ranking sales-wise from bottom to top, so at number 7 is Dig Out Your Soul, which sold 1.7 million copies worldwide. At number 6 is Don't Believe the Truth with 2.2 million. At number 5 is Standing on the Shoulders of Giants, which sold 2.6 million. At number 4 is Heathen Chemistry, which sold 2.7 million. At number 3 is Definitely Maybe, which sold 6.7 million. At number 2 is Be Here Now, which sold 7.4 million. And the number 1 selling album for Oasis is, surprise, surprise, What's the Story? Morning Glory, with 17.7 million copies sold worldwide.
The next tune, which we were all in agreement on for this, was Wonderwall, a song that really needs no introduction. So here's a bit of it.
And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my Wonderwall.
So, after all, you're my Wonderwall. Everyone's heard that before. And it's a song that's still played a lot. And are we too familiar with it now, guys? Paul Young?
Personally, yes, I would say.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I think it's, again, when it first came out, it was, it was just, again, the acoustic guitars and Liam singing. It was amazing. And I think it's Oasis' signature song.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was that kind of crossover for people that maybe weren't fans before to say, well, even though I don't like them, that's a great song.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you could say that for, the American audience who weren't really listening to begin with. They did the tours and stuff, and obviously they hadn't really cracked America at that point. But I think that song was one that the Americans did listen to at that point. And why not? It's a brilliant song, and it always will be, I think, Oasis' signature song. And again, like I say, it's one of those ones where you play it so much at the time that you can become a bit too familiar with it. Great song, but I don't listen to it that much anymore, if I'm being honest.
Same here. Good video.
Yeah.
Good video for the song. Remember that? And I remember the guy that joined the band just for that short period of time on bass got to be in that video. And ironically, that was the band's biggest selling and most popular song. And that guy's in the video. And if anyone can remember his name, please let us know.
George Harrison.
George Harrison, yeah. I think you selected it, Paul. You're a big fan, aren't you, brother Paul?
I wouldn't say I'm big. I think it's a bit similar to what you have said. It's almost like their signature song, and I think it's that over familiarity. I suppose it's a bit like Queen Bohemian Rhapsody or Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit. They're brilliant songs, but you've almost heard them too much that actually you prefer other stuff they've done. And I think Wonderwall kind of comes into that category for Oasis. But I suppose when you think about the 90s, when you think about the top songs, this would be one of the songs that kind of, if you listen to it, kind of just sounds the 90s. It's that era. It just captures it all. And I think it was their only kind of hit in America, like Paul was saying. I think it was their only kind of top 10 single.
Number 5 in America.
Yeah.
Oh no, tell lies. It was, and it was like maybe number 8. It got to I think it was 5 in Canada.
Yeah, I remember the Mike Flowers version. Remember the sort of cabaret version. Because that was quite quick after it, wasn't it? It wasn't it was like a couple of months or something. But it just makes me think of that sort of the end of '95, I think, when it came out. And but yeah, I think it's over familiarity. Just like say, like Bohemian Rhapsody and stuff like that. Classic songs, but you've heard them too much that it kind of it loses something for you.
Next, Wonderwall. Well, it's a great song. Iconic Oasis song. Probably the first sort of slowest balladish type song that they've done. Because I don't think there was any on Definitely Maybe, but yeah, just a great chorus, sing along, and just an iconic Oasis song.
Yeah, I mean, it was a huge success. Topped the charts in Australia and New Zealand, reached top 10 in 13 other countries, including Canada and the US. It got to number 2 in Britain and the Irish charts, so big single for them. And obviously inspired, or the title of it was inspired by the George Harrison solo album, Wonderwall Music.
I just say as well, but Oasis did, Hill and Pace did a really good version of it called Wonder Bra, remember?
No.
They did one called Wonder Bra, and they called themselves Oade or something. That was it.
Oade, yeah. I mean, for me with the song, I agree with you. It's overplayed. I have a strange history of songs. I did say earlier that I heard some of the tracks from this album sitting on a beach in Kos, and I think the the song that really stood out to me on the beach was "Don't Look Back in Anger," but I think the song people were raving about in the reviews before the album came out was "Wonderwall." So I kind of got in my head that "Don't Look Back in Anger" was Wonderwall, if you know what I mean. So I remember buying the CD and Wonderwall came on, and I thought, that's not the song. And I'm thinking, oh, maybe it wasn't Oasis I heard on the beach. I mean, who did that other song that I really like that's quite beatly? And then, of course, Don't Look Back in Anger came on next. I was like, woof. But yeah, no, I mean, listening to it objectively, it's a really good tune. If, the cellos on it are nice. The drumming again is really good in it, and Liam's vocal as well. So yeah, just overplayed, unfortunately. But yes, we all pick it for the album, and the next one, this will be track 4 for us, picking up the pace again, and we're going with Some Might Say, which we all selected, and here's a little bit of it.
Some might say we will find a brighter day. Yeah, 'cause I've been standing at the station in need of education in the rain. You made no preparation for my reputation once again. The sink is full of fishes. She's got many dishes on the brain. It was overflowing gently, but it's so elementary, my friend.
Some might say that's a good tune, Brother Paul. What do you like about Some Might Say?
It was the first song that I actually liked of theirs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and yeah, it just epitomised that. Was it the summer of '95, wasn't it? It's hard to, yeah, it's good guitar and quite heavy and a lot of attitude with it as well.
Yeah.
It's probably more like songs from the first album, maybe, I don't know. That sort of attitude, like Cigarettes and Alcohol, Rock and Roll Star.
Maybe a little bridge between the two albums. Yeah.
Some might say so, yeah.
Some might say so, yeah. I mean, for me, it's a strong jaunty tune. I still remember excitedly buying the CD single. Again, back down to Camerton, I remember driving to there on a Saturday afternoon and buying Portishead's Dummy album the same day. But yeah, my favourite part in the song is that bridge about 2 minutes in that takes you from the first chorus back to the guitar before the second verse. Which is really good, the descending thing and the sound effects, and it kicks back in. But yeah, it's a good tune for me. Yeah, Mr. Paul Young.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it was a kind of revisit to definitely maybe just with the guitars, but there's also again that kind of combination of Liam and no singing as well. And it was a wee bit like a kind of, almost like a kind of football crowd chant as well. It had that kind of feeling to it, you know.
Attitude, yeah.
A bit of attitude, that's right. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the first number one?
First number one in the UK, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it was a great song, but as we mentioned before, backed up with the 3 B-sides as well. It's just a great song. We definitely had to have that in this cut of the album for sure.
Yeah, so number 1 in the UK, and it went top 10 in Finland, Iceland, Ireland, and Sweden. And obviously, it's the last Oasis single to feature all 5 original band members. Tony McCarroll getting his marching orders after this one. And one of the things I found out while researching this, that the track was inspired by the song Fuzzy by Grant Lee Buffalo, which is, I don't know if it's a song you're familiar with, actually had that album, the title track, yeah, and thinking back, I can hear elements of it in there.
Bring me home this house of many days. Just lay me on the floor, hard and cool as slate.
So a very different kind of tune to Some Might Say It Must Be Said.
Some Might Say, again, it's another single. The hits just keep coming on this album. This one's a more sort of traditional Oasis song, I think, with Liam on it. But yeah, no, I really like this one. And once again, another chorus to sing along for the crowd. So yeah, I really like this song.
So the top 10 selling physical singles from Oasis are as follows. At number 10 is Joint, Supersonic and All Around the World with 390,000 copies sold. At number 9 is Cigarettes and Alcohol with 410,000 copies sold. At number 8 is Go Let It Out with 490,000 copies sold. At number 7 is Stand By Me with 570,000 copies sold. At number 6 is Roll With It, which has 690,000 copies. At number 5 is Some Might Say with 810,000 copies. At number 4 is Whatever with 1 million copies sold. At number 3 is Don't Look Back in Anger with 1.1 million copies sold. At number 2 is Do You Know What I Mean, which has 1.2 million copies sold. And the number 1 selling single for Oasis out of all their back catalogue physical sales is Wonderwall with just under 2 million copies sold, 1.8.
Okay, moving on to another big hit single for the band, and it is Don't Look Back in Anger. Here it is. So Don't Look Back in Anger. I'm going to stick with you, Paul Young. And what do you think of this? Again, another unanimous choice from the group.
Yeah, this one always had to be there, didn't it? Again, another signature Oasis song. And I think what I liked most about this song was it's quite a strong vocal from Noel.
Yeah.
Obviously didn't hear much of him on the first album, and then he's obviously found his voice for the second one. And again, it's just such a kind of catchy song, you know, if you're thinking about the chorus and things. And you know, I try desperately to get my kids to listen to my type of music, and it's always a losing battle. But there's some songs that they do like, and it's because they're kind of sing-along songs. Yeah. And Don't Look Back in Anger is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And it's again just a signature Oasis song, and it's just got the sort of the melody in it, Noel's vocals. It's very much an Oasis song. You know, as soon as you kind of hear it, and the guitar solos, the drums, you know, everything about it is Oasis. And it most definitely had to be on this album, no doubt about it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love it. It's probably my joint favourite Oasis song with Cigarettes and Alcohol, and one of my all-time favourite songs. And yeah, I just love the piano opening, very much like John Lennon's Imagine. The guitar solo, and it's great. Love it. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, brilliant song. Well, it is literally Imagine, isn't it? The start of it, the piano. But it's, do you know what it reminds me of? The Last Dance at the end of a nightclub. That was always a song.
Yeah.
You know, like in Century 2000, that was always like the last song.
Was that?
So if you're going to get a smooch or something, that was.
This is where you were dancing. Your place or mine, darling.
No.
Don't look back in anger.
I heard you say. But yeah, it was always the last song. But it was always a good. And then as the song finished, the lights would come on, and the guy would say, "Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight." And it just always makes me think of that. But I liked the video as well. It was almost because it was Patrick McNee, wasn't it? And it was very kind of epitomised the whole Britpop, cool Britannia, that mid-90s period, and the wee Union Jack flag in the back of the taxi, and maybe it reminded me a bit of Thunderbirds as well. Obviously, no, and then he's being driven in a taxi or something.
Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
There is a resemblance. There's no doubt about it.
There is. No getting away from it. But yeah, big single for the bands. Their second #1 UK single went quadruple platinum here. And obviously the first Oasis single to feature No on lead vocals. And in August 2020, the song was voted as the greatest song of the 1990s by listeners of Absolute Radio 90s. The radio station my kids have to listen to in the car when me and Alison are in it. Much to their dismay.
Don't Look Back in Anger. Another iconic Oasis song. Just a great, brilliant song. Great sing-along. I think Noel fits it perfect, him singing. It's, not much you can say about that. It's just an amazing song.
So we'll move from Don't Look Back to Anger. Let's pick up the pace again with a song which wasn't a unanimous choice. It was Brother Paul, myself and Brian that picked it, and it is the punky blast of Head Shrinker, and here it is. That was Head Shrinker. So from based on what you're saying, Paul Young, you are a fan of it, but just maybe never made your own cut of the album. Any particular reason for that?
No, I think there was just some songs. It was just really difficult to cut all the songs down, and I actually chopped and changed quite a bit as well. So I think Head Shrinker was in at one point. It's a good song. It's fast and furious, and there's a couple of bits in it as well. Liam's kind of growl is unbelievable. It really is. It's I think quite similar to the kind of the fast version of Fade Away as well.
Yes.
They just kind of they blast it out, but it was just very difficult to pick all these kind of songs and shuffle them about towards the end. It is a great song, though. I can't really say anything other than that.
Yeah, and again, it comes back to it's mental. It was only one of 3 B-sides on the Some Might Say single. All great tunes. But yeah, I agree. I like the punky attitude of it. It actually sounds a lot like the B-sides that were on the Cigarettes and Alcohol single. Liam's vocals great. Got a really brilliant rock wall of sound from the band and that. But yeah, I hope you don't regret today for the rest of your life. The way Liam sings it in there. Marvellous. Brother Paul, you picked it. You're a fan.
Yeah, just echoing what you guys are saying. It's very punk. And I suppose grunge was like very much, I suppose, maybe seen as an American thing, and this was like, I suppose, a British version of it, maybe. And just, like you say, his voice is a bit like Johnny Rotten, because I know they were big Sex Pistols fans as well. So, yeah, just a lot. A bit like I Am the Walrus, the sort of energy in it as well. It's like that. It's like really fast and heavy, and Liam's voice his vocals are probably at his peak then,
Yeah.
I'd say, probably around that time.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, actually, when you think Liam's vocals were at their best. I mean, I would agree with you. I think his best vocally was on this album.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think maybe he had a tendency after this to do a bit of that strangulated, especially live. I think definitely maybe, and Morning Glory, I think he would always, I don't even know how to describe it. He would always, I don't even know how to describe it, but he'd be singing the songs, but he'd be properly singing the songs where I think he had a tendency after that to, maybe just go with more shouty type things, but I don't know if it was maybe a deterioration of his voice or not.
It must take it out of you when you're doing all those gigs and singing the way you do. You know, I know that in that latest documentary in his solo career that there was quite a few dates that he just couldn't do because his voice. And so, and that kind of growl that we were talking about, it'd be very difficult to do that every single time.
Big time, yeah.
Because as we say in Scotland, Liam's giving it laldy, isn't he? It's like he gives so much. Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's a faster, rockier song. Probably one of Oasis' most rockier songs, actually. But I like the guitar in it, and Liam's vocals great. Again, not an album track, which is there's a lot of them on this cut. But no, it's a brilliant song as well.
Hey everyone out there in the podcasting world, this is Widescreen Podcast. This is Sam Wiles. You are listening to another episode of the Trimming the Musical Fat podcast.
And for our final rule tonight, it's time for another edition of one of our favorite departments here on Real Time, explaining jokes to idiots.
So it's time for the joke of the pod. So, gentlemen, do you have a nice Oasis joke to share with the audience? Mr. Paul Young, do you want to kick us off with your joke?
Again, struggled a bit with this. I don't have an Oasis joke as such, but I do remember a joke that Noel said during the live gig, the one at Aberdeen.
Excellent. All right, okay.
So a guy goes to his doctor and says, "Doctor, you're going to need to help me. I keep busting into Tom Jones songs." And the doctor, it's not unusual.
Now, let me give you my one here. My friends asked me if I was obsessed with Oasis. I said, maybe.
Oh dear.
And here comes the tumbleweed. I got another one. It was the mid-1990s, and I was stuck in the desert, and I thought I could see an oasis, but it was just a blur.
Hey.
I don't have a joke as such, but I used to always, whenever I went out and you were having a meal and you had soup, or you're at work, you had soup, and I'd always like to say to someone, "Oh, can I get a roll with it, please?" So it's not a joke, but it's always something. I always used to get the Oasis pun in there.
I mean, that's one of the things that I always laughed at, which was at the Loch Lomond gig, that a family just got their barbecue out front, and they must have made a fortune, just making burgers and stuff to sell to the Oasis fans, and that was it. Was it sausage roll with it? Yes, brilliant, love it.
That's clever marketing right there.
Yeah, it was so good.
I took my sister to an Oasis gig. The band came on and I shouted, "Go Oasis!" So she left.
Okay, let's move on to our next song, which is, I think I was the only one abstaining this time round, and it's one of the B-sides from the Roll With It single, probably the best one from the Roll With It single, and it's Rocking Chair. So, guys, that was Rockin' Chair. So, Brother Paul, what do you like about this tune?
Just very melodic, brilliant, and it's almost the exact opposite of what we just talked about, Hedgeshrinker. It's like, because Noel sings this one, doesn't he? Is that right?
No, it's Liam.
Oh, it's Liam, right. I suppose it just makes me think of that mid-90s period. It's a bit like, Runaway Train by Soul Asylum, like the guitar and stuff, but really catchy and melodic. And it's a brilliant song, and I can't understand why it wasn't on the album.
Yeah. What about you, Paul?
Yeah, do you know what? I think this is one song which it's difficult to describe because it is an Oasis song, but it isn't. Like in terms of its sound, because on the one hand you've got Liam's vocal, but you've not got that electric guitar, but it's quite fast kind of paced at the same time. And yeah, I think again, it's a brilliant song, and I agree with Paul. I don't know how that didn't make the album. And the lyrics as well are a wee bit different Oasis lyrics as well, I think. So yeah, it's a great song, and I'm glad it made the cut.
Yeah, I didn't pick it. It was purely down to time, because I do think it's a great tune. I just didn't have enough space to include it. But you're right. Yeah, I think it's quite different for the band. It's maybe a bit more delicate, and you've got that swirling organ in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I think Liam's vocal on it is absolutely tremendous. So yes, it's a great tune, and definitely should have been on the album. I would agree with you on that.
I love this song. This is another one of my favourite Oasis songs. Definitely in the top 10 Oasis songs. I love how it just fades in at the start with the acoustic guitar. It's sort of an acoustic right through. Just brilliant song, and wasn't on an album as well. It's another B-side, which is amazing.
Okay, the next 3 tunes, the final 3 tunes, this is where Paul Young is maybe going to be a wee bit peeved because he didn't pick any of these, but I know he will like them. So let's go through the first of them, which is Paul.
So She's Electric is a good song, but I think there's definitely better songs out there. I think She's Electric is more of a B-side than some of these others, is my opinion of it. And I certainly think there was stronger songs that they had at that point that would have made the album. It's a good song, but it's not a great song, in my opinion.
I really like this song actually on the album. I think it's quite different from the rest of the album. It's sort of quite an up-tempo, fun, like happy song, and I like the lyrics to it. It's yeah, great song.
Brother Paul?
I think it's a really good, catchy song. It's almost a bit like, I don't know, the Kinks or the Small Faces, and it's one of the songs in the album. Although it was an album track, it's one of the songs that people seem to know. Like, remember going to the Woodburn Miners Club years ago? Is it the Miners Club? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm actually going there next week for a wedding.
All right. The band, they used to have this band that played, they were brilliant. I remember that was one of the songs they did, but it was one of the songs that people knew and would sing, even though it wasn't a single, which is quite unusual. So it's like almost, it was as well known as a single. So.
It's like,
and
of
course, the end of it rips off the end of With a Little Help from My Friends, the end of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, big time. It's like the sequel to Dixie's Dinner, this one. It's got a very similar tone and structure. But yeah, I think it's got a nice melody. It's a happy tune, quite loose. I agree, you can feel the influence of the Kinks on it. But I love that refrain in it, and I want you to know. That's great. Another great vocal from Liam on it as well. So yeah, no, I was quite happy to have this on the cut. Another one, which is getting on, is the song that Paul, you picked as your least favorite, and it's "Roll With It." So let's give it a listen. So that was "Roll With It." Let me give you a couple of facts in relation to it. So obviously, probably most famous for the song that went up against Blur's Country House in the Battle of Britpop in August 1995. And obviously, Oasis won that battle, but won the war. They had the better selling album.
Lost the battle, but won the war.
Won the battle and lost the battle, won the war, yeah. And Noel Gallagher said something interesting in 2019 where he said it would have been a more worthy battle if it had been Oasis's Cigarettes and Alcohol versus Blur's Girls and Boys.
Like the previous year.
Worthy battle, the previous year, but hey-ho. And Donna, do you guys remember when Oasis played the song on BBC One's Top of the Pops? I think just after the song came out, that Liam and Noel swapped roles when they were miming the tune. Do you remember that?
Yep, I do.
Yeah. So I remember when it cut to Liam, and obviously Liam couldn't play the guitar, and it was kind of which is quite amusing. But yeah, so you didn't pick it. So this is one you're not overly fond of, Paul, is it? Paul Young.
Yeah, it's again. I think it's it's a good song, but it's not a great song. It doesn't really stick out for me. But what I will say about this song is, when I was talking about going to Irvine Beach, they actually played "Roll With It" as this. So this is our new song type thing, and played it. And I remember thinking, wow, that's quality. But if we're talking about the album, the songs that made the album and the B-sides, "Roll With It's" probably one that I'll listen to least.
Okay.
I think there's some good stuff about it. It's like again, proper Oasis song. It's fast, and it's just kind of typical Oasis lyrics, got a bit of an attitude to it. But I just think that other songs have a bit more to them in terms of just the sound and lyrics and you know, I like a bit of no singing in the songs, so that's why it didn't make the cut for me. Yeah.
What about you, brother Paul?
I really like it. I think it's just really, really catchy. It's quite basic, but that's kind of what I like about it as well. I remember at the time when it was Country House against that, and I thought, oh, that's a much better song than Country House. But I remember, I'm sure Blur said at the time as well that they were calling them like it's like status quo. They were saying the song was like
calling them
status quo.
Oasis Quo. I think they were calling them.
Yeah. But no, I think it's a really good song and just really catchy, and it's aged better, I think, than Country House. It's funny, you were talking about the videos. Do you remember Don't Look Back in Anger video? I know we're going back where Liam was pretending he could play the piano on Top of the Pops, because obviously Noel was singing. So Liam was on this big piano like that. He can't even play it, and he's like pretending, miming. Yeah.
I like the artwork for the single for Over It. If you remember, that was the guys like on the beach, on the deck chairs, and I think there was a TV in it and stuff. That was a pretty good artwork for that, I thought.
I'll tell you what, that would have been a better album cover, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would have been a great album cover. I think that was Whitby Bay. I might be mistaken. I'm sure.
They did have jackets on, so you might be right.
Yeah. Yeah. But that would have been a good album cover there. You know what I like about the song? See the opening 20 seconds with the guitar and the band kick in. It is absolutely fantastic. I'd say to you that's some of Oasis's best work, the first 20 seconds. But yeah, for me, it's a really good tune, energetic. It's an up pop rock tune, and yeah, the chorus is very status quo. Like there's no getting away from that. But it's a tune that puts a smile on my face. And I'll tell you what, see if you sequence it just after Acquiesce, it flows absolutely beautifully.
Roll with it. It's not one of my favourite Oasis singles. I think it's a bit, something just a bit cheesy about it. I'm not too sure, but still a good song. But yeah,
fits perfectly, those two songs. So that brings us to our final song that is making the TTMF supercut of Morning Glory. And so, Paul, you didn't pick this. Well, you actually did pick it, but you had just run out of time. So you won't be too disheartened to see it here. And it is the B-side or one of the B-sides to Wonderwall. It's The Master Plan.
Tell them not to fear no more. Say it loud and sing it proud today. And then dance if you wanna dance. Please, brother, take a chance. You know they're gonna go which way they wanna go. All we know is that we don't know how it's gonna be. Please, brother, let it be. Life, on the other hand, won't make us understand. We're all part of a master plan.
Okay, so that's the master plan. I've got a question for you before we talk about it. Which two Oasis band members did not feature on this track?
That's a difficult one.
Liam, obviously, yeah.
Liam does not. Nope. There's no
Unless he's playing his imaginary piano.
He is not playing his well, he might have been, but you can't hear him. One other member did not play in this. Bonehead did.
Really? Okay.
It was Giggsy, bassist. Apparently, Noel just played the bass on this, so that was that. Just went ahead and done it. So yeah, just the three of them that played on this, and Noel regrets that this was released as a B-side and believes now it should have been a single, and he's declared it one of the best songs he's ever written. So yeah, he does regret that. So for me, I think this is a brilliant song, great chorus. It's got a nice melancholy vibe to it. Love the strings on it, which again are quite different for Oasis. think Noel gives a really good vocal performance. And I like the guitar solo in this is really good because it's like the guitar solo is played backwards around the 2-minute mark, which makes it quite interesting. And I do prefer the recorded version over the live one where they had that guide and harmonica all over it. It's like, give me a break.
Is that the MTV one, Stephen, you're talking about?
No, he did it on when I know they did it on the Morning Glory tour when I seen them at Loch Lomond.
Ah, right, okay.
And they dragged out for an extra few minutes with this harmonica. I was like, oh, give me a break. So you guys like the song too. So maybe Paul Young, let's go with you. What do you like about it?
Yeah, I think you picked some good stuff out there. You got the strings, you've got Noel's voice, that kind of slow start, and then it builds up into the kind of chorus. And I think the actual song's quite symbolic as well.
Yep.
That was his master plan, wasn't it? He had these songs, put a band together, and obviously become very rich and famous off the back of it. So it worked quite well. But yeah, it is a great song, and again, how this is not, on an album, it's just a B-side. How it's not a single, it's just amazing, isn't it? It is mental, and there's a lot to like about this, and I'd love to be a fly in the wall when these brilliant songs that Noel sings and how Liam took the news, like Don't Look Back in Anger, Master Plan, etc. But I think Noel was the right call for this song, just the way that he sings it and the sort of harmony, the chorus in it. So, it's a great song. Brilliant.
Master Plan. Yeah, you couldn't not keep that off the album. It's just a classic, a brilliant song. Noel singing on it, this one, and I think he does. Suits his vocal. Again, it's not an album track. It's another B-side, which just shows how good their B-sides were. But yeah, brilliant song and a great way to finish the album. I think it should have actually probably finished the original album, but yeah.
Excellent. Brother Paul?
Yeah, brilliant song. I feel that, like you're saying, the song suits Noel's voice, and because I almost think Noel does these sort of more melodic songs that he does the vocals on. I suppose it's just his voice, whereas Liam can do both probably, but I think this song is made for his voice more, and like you're saying, it's like, how could this be a B-side? It's just crazy. And yeah, but yeah, great song.
Like trimming the musical fat? Why not check out Trimming the Movie Fat, and our latest episode dedicated to the 1970s Roger Moore James Bond movies. We've got our 10 tracks that make up the TTMF Supercut, and we'll just we'll go through them and summarise it in just a second. But before we get to it, is there any particular song which did not make the TTMF Supercut that you're particularly gutted did not get on there? So, Brother Paul, maybe go with you first.
Come On, Feel the Noise.
Oh, really? Would you like the cover version of the Slade song?
Yeah, it's just brilliant. It fits Liam's voice perfect. He does his noddy holder, but I think as well, it reminds me different memories for Paul, obviously, in the 1996 Scottish Cup final, Hearts Rangers. I remember them playing that, and it was just the atmosphere. And the song just was like, I just think it's great, and I think it'd be a great song to start off a gig with as well. And it's just brilliant. Yeah, great version.
What about you, Paul? Any particular song that you're gutted's not on here?
So Morning Glory, is that not? That's not on it, is it?
Right, yeah, that's not.
So yeah, I would most definitely have Morning Glory in it. It's a brilliant Oasis song. That just the sort of the guitars right at the start of it, and then that build up of the drums, and then you've got Liam and Noel sort of. Just their vocals on it are just absolutely brilliant. It was such a good live song as well. Don't know if you guys have seen a more recent performance. I think it was in Argentina, maybe, when they played that song, and it's really, really big in South America, that song. And you saw the crowd's reaction when it comes on. Sometimes sometimes you see a crowd and it's just down the front where they're all kind of jumping about, but you could clearly see that it was like, a huge part, a massive crowd were loving it. And you've kind of got that, it's like helicopters in the background at a point as well, just that kind of sound that comes off it. So obviously it's a title song. I think that might have done all right in America as well, if I'm right. I think that might at least be a well-known sort of song that Oasis did. So yeah, it's again right up there for me with my favourite Oasis song. So I would have most definitely had Morning Glory on this. Yeah.
The one song I was disappointed wasn't on the album would be Morning Glory, the title track. I think that's a great song. I love the start with the helicopters coming into the guitars and stuff. It's brilliant, but yeah, it was disappointing that wasn't on the cut. But yeah, it's also like Hello. That's the first song on the album. I think that's a good song to start. Hello, good to be back. It's a good start, but yeah, there's so many hits, it's hard to put all these songs on. But yeah, definitely Morning Glory, I think, should have been on there.
Okay, for me, I would have went with Round Our Way, which was obviously a B-side to Wonderwall, and I'm gutted nobody else went for it.
It was too long.
It's so different.
The duration of the song was too long. That's why I couldn't get it on.
You're wrong. I think it's just different for the band, just with the horns. Just it's really uplifting. It's energetic. It's kind of got a Mersey beat live. It's also a bit like the Beatles' "Got to Get You Into My Life." And I don't know. Do you guys remember the band doing a great performance of it on the short-lived music show on Channel 4, The White Room?
Yes, I remember
and it was a White Room.
Yeah. Was that the one where did Talk Tonight? Paul Weller was playing on the keyboard.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember.
But yeah, they've done a brilliant version of Round Their Way that night. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this song. I think it's really good. Join us again on the 1st of November as we check out Madonna's Ray of Light album with our special guests, the Eves. Okay guys, let's reveal the supercut of the TTMF. What's the story? Morning Glory. So what's the supercut here? So the 10 songs that have made it are Acquiesce, Cast No Shadow, Wonderwall, Some Might Say, Don't Look Back in Anger, Head Shrinker, Rocking Chair, Roll With It, She's Electric, and The Master Plan. So those are the 10 songs. Let me revisit each of you to find out how you would rate our supercut out of 5. So, Brother Paul, I think you had the original album at 4.5. How would you rate this?
I would just leave it at the same. It wouldn't have changed. 4.5.
That's not good enough, Paul. 4.6?
I'm just going in halves, I'm afraid.
What about you, Paul? You were a 5?
I was a 5. Yeah, but the problem that I've now got is that Morning Glory is not on it. So
maybe it could be a hidden bonus track for you.
Well, that might change things. So I'm going to downgrade it slightly because of the Morning Glory.
Okay.
And I'll give it a 4.7. How's that?
Okay, thank you very much.
So my final supercut rating, I would stick at 4.5 out of 5. I think if Morning Glory had been on it instead of Roll With It, I think it might have got 5. But yeah, it's just missing out. Staying at 4.5.
Well, I was 4.5 previously, and I prefer the supercuts. We got rid of a couple of songs which I'm not as big a fan of and replaced them with better options. So I'm going up to 5 now. I'd be very happy with this record. So if you want to listen to our cut of Morning Glory, you can do on Spotify. So join our Facebook group where the link will be shared along with each of our own playlists. It's the final questions. So, gents, should Oasis in retrospect have saved their great B-sides for future albums? So should more have been placed on the actual released albums? What say you? I'll go to superfan Paul Young first of all.
That's an interesting one, because I think immediately you'd say, well, yeah, of course. You know, these songs were far too good just to be B-sides. But in retrospect, we got Master Plan as well, which, you know, put everything together and was a great album by its own right. And I think for me, with Noel Gallagher, he'd obviously written a lot, like a big chunky songs that pretty much make up the first couple of albums, and those B-sides were obviously included. So it's almost like they threw everything at those first couple of albums, and then the Be Here Now sounded to kind of sound a little bit different to what we were used to. So if it was me, with hindsight, I would have stretched it out a bit further and included some of those B-sides in albums 3 and 4. I don't think anybody would have had any complaints. There are still some great songs in Be Here Now. I don't think it's as good an album as the first two, but if you had a few of the B-sides in it, and it could have been another top album.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement with you on that, and it is a difficult one because the B-sides were so good. It made each Oasis single that came out an event. You wanted to buy it because you knew you were getting, 3 or 4 great new tunes every couple of months. So it was great in that respect. But from the perspective of their career, it would have been wiser to have saved some of those songs for singles, future albums, whatever it might be. Are you in agreement, Brother Paul?
Yeah, totally. I was thinking of like a metaphor, and it's almost like you're getting your kids Christmas presents, or Santa's getting them Christmas presents, and it's like, rather than spread it out, you're giving all the presents in 1 year, and then the next year you've not got as much money to get them decent presents. And it's almost like,
bit accurate, to be fair.
I know, so it's almost like, that's what I know. Seems like Ian Holloway, the football manager's analogy.
Because you were in a well-paid job and you thought the money was always just going to keep coming in, keep buying presents, and suddenly the money was not coming in as much.
It was almost like they'd peaked at that point, and it was like, you don't have to let it all out, if you like.
We'll let it
out. Go let it out.
I know where you're coming from with it, Okay, final question then for you guys is, I put a poll on the Anything Oasis Facebook group, so thank you to the people who took part in that, and I asked them what their favourite Morning Glory single B-side was. What do you reckon they selected? And the favourite has changed a couple of times. What do you reckon was the favourite B-side from the Morning Glory singles?
So I'm going to go for a song that we haven't really spoken about tonight, which I think should have been on it, and that's Talk Tonight.
Okay.
And so I'm going to go for that, even just to give it a mention.
Yeah. Great tune. Great tune. Okay, Paul?
Acquaintance.
These are both very clever. Second was Acquaintance with 25% of the vote. And the favourite, just beat out Acquaintance, was Talk Tonight with 38%. And you're right, yeah, we didn't mention that tonight, and it is a really, really good tune.
We didn't talk about it tonight.
I know, we didn't talk about it tonight. Oh, hey!
How many
Thank
Oasis
you.
ones?
Thank you is available each week on the podcast. And yeah, so there you go. And I think what's good about Talk Tonight was the lyrics, obviously referencing when he kind of left the band on tour in the US because he'd had enough. And I think shacked up with a woman in San Francisco or something, and that was the Talk Tonight. So it's got a good lyric on there.
And after all, you're my Wonderwall.
Well, we've done enough talking tonight. Time to say goodbye. We're going home. So thanks to Paul for joining us and to Bryan for his contributions. And our biggest thanks to you for listening. So until next time, keep trimming.
Trimming the Musical Fat podcast is a Stephen and Paul Nicholson production. Contact us via voicemail by going to anchor.fm/TTMF/message or tweet us at musical trimming or email us at trimmingthemusicfat@gmail.com. Keep up to date on the show by joining our Facebook group or visiting our website www.trimmingthemusicalfat.com, or support us financially by going to Patreon and getting some great podcast exclusives.
I love it. I love it.